21 minutes after 6 o'clock, Senator John McCain. I hope it's Senator John McCain, or else I'm going to pump up somebody else who's going to say, hey, why are you playing Anchors Away for me? But let's get the Senator right on. Hi, Senator. How are you?
How are you, Jim? Thanks for playing our song. You know, I have to brag every once in a while. You know, my son graduated last June, and it's the fourth John McCain that's graduated from the Naval Academy, a record there, and I'm very proud of that. He's in pilot training now, and I certainly hope he's a better pilot than I was.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. The guy playing that tape is a former Air Force guy right across from me at the desk here, so he said something about his theme being better than yours, but I don't know, Senator.
Come on, Senator.
Might be. You know, at the event Saturday night at the Pima Air Museum honoring the World War II veterans was very touching, very moving, and one guy who was there who led us in the pledge was General Sandy Vandenberg, who also comes from a very famous Air Force family. He's a wonderful hero, and anyway, it was just very touching and very moving to see all our greatest generation veterans there, and I hope we'll do that more often because obviously they're not going to be with us forever.
No, but we need to keep the mood of it alive, obviously. All right, Senator, the first obvious question, and I remember you're the surge guy from Iraq, so you must feel even more frustrated than me as a lowly talk show host to watch us go through it again in Afghanistan with not enough boots on the ground, and we need this many, and they're only going to give us that many. This is war. This is life or death. How can we be messing around with dollars and whether or not we can afford enough troops and that sort of thing? I mean, isn't that frustrating to watch?
Well, the thing that's frustrating more than anything else is that the president said in March that we had developed the strategy and that we were going to implement it. And in the campaign, he called it the good war, necessary war. We were going to do whatever it takes to win there. And now we're going through this kind of public agonizing over the issue. Having said that, I think the indications are that he is going to agree to General McChrystal's recommendations. I hope so. If he does, I will strongly support him in that decision. There are many here in Congress, particularly in the liberal left, that obviously don't want to do that. And the fact is, the surge worked. This surge can work under vastly different conditions, both demographically and in a number of ways. We can't afford to lose it, and this damned foolishness about the Taliban and Al-Qaeda are different, so we don't have to worry about that. I mean, you know, that's, in all due respect, that's a total disregard of history and facts.
Well, you know, I think it was a total disregard of responsibility to only talk to the general once since he's been president. I mean, how can you come up with a strategy? The layman's version of looking at that, Senator, would be that it's uncomfortable for him because he's not fully into the war, so he's kind of dodging it. I mean, I don't know how else to look at it.
Well, especially in light of the fact that the president fired his predecessor in order to put him in the job. And I think it's, frankly, an obligation of the president to talk to military commanders as frequently as possible. Certainly observe the chain of command, but do you think that Abraham Lincoln, once he got Grant in, always went through the, quote, chain of command? Look, there are young Americans who are dying right now, two from Arizona in the last few weeks. They're in harm's way, and the longer we delay in implementing this new strategy, which means an injection of about 40,000 troops, the more danger they're in, right?
Well, you would think so. All right, Senator, partisan politics is always my number one issue because I'm old enough to remember when it was a little bit better. And I just finished watching some talk show host yesterday saying that he shouldn't be out dancing when there's wars. And I try to take that with a grain of salt because, look, you still have to live, and other presidents, Republican presidents, have certainly partied and that kind of thing. But is it my imagination, or is the office becoming a little more like royalty, a little more like, I don't know, more celebrity than they used to be attached to it in some circles? Because it is a difficult time now. We heard about transparency for months and months and months. There's none of it at all, and he's seems to be enjoying himself and in circles that some presidents didn't hang in, and it's just depressing to be a citizen watching it.
Well, I think it's well known that this president is brought a new kind of environment to the White House, being the first African-American president. He has attracted the attention and, frankly, the appreciation of people all over the world. But look, here's my problem this morning. I'm sure you saw Dow Jones is over 10,000.
Right.
Okay, Goldman Sachs is going to have new bonuses, billions of dollars of bonuses distributed all over America. Okay, excuse me, going to be distributed to all of their employees, billions in bonuses. And guess what? Home foreclosures are at an all-time high. Okay, unemployment is going up. There's something terribly wrong with that picture. We have Wall Street doing just fine thanks to tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayers' dollars, and they're doing fine, okay? And they're too big to fail. You tell me, go down the street in Phoenix or Tucson or any other part of Arizona, and we tell those small business people that they're too small to save. That's what I'm mad about this morning, and we all should be angry about it. I'm glad that the Dow Jones average went over to 10,000, but why should it happen at the same time home foreclosures are at an all-time high, and the debt and deficit we're laying on our next generation of Americans is somewhere around $9 trillion over the next 10 years. It's outrageous and disgraceful, and it makes you understand the enthusiasm that's obviously and anger that's obviously out there at the tea parties.
Well, and they say 99.7% of business is small business, and that's what drives us. Let me bring up, you brought up the tea parties. People always say, why doesn't Senator McCain come to them? I mean, I tell him bluntly, come on, you're going to yell at him while he walks by. I mean, why do you want to, someone going to deal with that? But tell me, how did you get to this place where someone of your stature gets yelled at now and then from people who are just frustrated?
I don't know, but I do town hall meetings all over the place. I did one, as you know, just last weekend down in Tucson. I do them everywhere. There's huge turnouts, and I'd be glad to come to their tea party. But I think the main thing is for me to continue to do the town hall meetings so I can hear from people, and they're respectful. Every once in a while, you get someone like a Code Pink lady, the anti-war, people that have been following me ever since the surge in Iraq. But look, overall, I think they're good, and I think they're healthy, and I think it's good for America. And we've got to send a message to Washington. We've got to stop the spending. We've got to stop it. The pork barrel bills that are going through here are obscene, and they breed corruption, and that's what they're angry about. And I agree with them.
Hey, look, I know you have a good sense of humor. So the email I just got, this one was that they heard the president just watched a college game this weekend. They gave him the Heisman. So I have to bring up, the Nobel. I mean, look, even this president was embarrassed, right? Is that a safe saying? I mean, I think if he wished he didn't get it. I mean, it was an awkward thing to happen. Are we doing it? It's a Democratic president thing, isn't it?
I think that. Look, first of all, let's congratulate the president on the award. But second of all, I don't think there's any doubt it was openly said that this is sort of a repudiation of President George Bush. I think that's pretty obvious. But let me tell you that probably more important than that, if you look at USA Today, Clinton urges Russians to be forward-thinking. Okay, that's a story about Hillary Clinton being in Russia and talking to the Russians. Now, let me give you this quote. I choose to put aside being a child of the Cold War, she said. Quote, I choose to move beyond the rhetoric and the propaganda that came from my government and yours. I choose a different future, and that's a choice every one of us can make. I don't choose to move beyond the rhetoric and propaganda, if you want to call it that, of the Cold War. I believe that the Soviet Union was an existential threat to America and the world, and I don't call it propaganda. And I don't call it propaganda when Ronald Reagan said, take down this wall. And I don't call it propaganda when Ronald Reagan called them an evil empire, which they were. And millions were in gulags and prisons all across the world. So, look, the tenor of this administration towards the Russian, and by the way, in case you missed it, Putin, who's the power in Russia, said they're not going to back sanctions against Iran. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. That really angers me. to hear our Secretary of State equating our attitude towards the Soviet Union as the same as theirs, and thereby equivocating our way of government to theirs. I think it's incredible.
Well, Hillary Clinton said something else. Just said it. Was it yesterday on ABC? Josh, do you have that?
You're never going to run for president again?
I have absolutely no interest in running for president again. None.
Well, there you go.
Well, neither do I.
Yeah, I didn't know if
so
you
we have something in common.
I know you got to go, Senator. I have to ask you, and I know
sure.
when I interviewed Bush 41 a few times years ago, he would not say his challengers by name. I understand the way that works, but now there's another one, Rodney Glassman, throwing an exploratory committee out there. It's a little unusual for me. I've been here 11 years, and I'm watching people diving in to run against you. I know your competitive side, part of it's got to love it, because I know you like the battle. But at the same time, does it change anything? How do you behave? How do you plan your run?
I've always had challengers in all of my elections. It's healthy democratic process, and so look, the answer to all of these is to work hard, get back to home, stay in touch, keep working hard, whether it be for a copper mine out in Superior, or for encouraging the great job that the workers at Raytheon do there in Tucson, to working on the border issues and the struggle and fight we're in with the Mexican government against the drug cartels, which has caused this terrible violence on both sides of the border, to making sure that the Supreme Court decision on allowing the people up at Snowbowl and Flagstaff can go ahead and make snow. I mean, just keep working hard and make sure that people know that we're in touch. And frankly, this is the most difficult economic time for our state, so it means that I must devote all my efforts to try to help people out. They're hurt. I don't have to tell you. You hear from them every day.
Oh, we sure do. I was going to get into health care, but you mentioned the border. Let me just, as a last question, say I've never lived anywhere where everyone wants something done, and the polls say, 80-something%. It's been year after year after year. We almost don't even hear any discussion of it. So with the economy being poor, a lot of people are sending emails out that are breaking down how we could help things if we make this better at the border. Is it ever going to happen? What's the secret reason we're never going to secure the border?
Well, things are better. Obviously, as you know, the illegal immigration has dropped, but that has a heck of a lot to do with the fact that there's not jobs for people. The magnet has died out some. It's not as strong as it was. We are completing the fence. We need to complete it. We need to beef up the border. I still think we need guard troops down there. But really, a problem now that is almost overtaking that is these drug cartels and the violence. 4,000 people have been killed in along the border. The brutality and the corruption, which is spilling over to our side of the border of these drug cartels. They pose an existential threat to the government of Mexico. If the government of Mexico or parts of Mexico are taken over by the drug cartels, imagine what the implications of that are to the United States of America. So we really have to focus a lot of our attention in trying to help the Mexican government get this under control. And let's be frank and honest. The market is the United States. You know what I mean? and that's something we also need to work on as far as drug usage in the United States is concerned.
Well,
you see my point?
They legalized crazy drugs like heroin and crack and things like that. But there's a part of me that sees that as intelligent in some ways. I just don't like that our kids can go run over there and, But will no one be able to just shut it down? I mean, how does Washington work? You can't just get a bunch of people together and say, we're not moving until, and I don't mean shut the border, but until we actually do something, some plan. But it just doesn't seem to happen.
Well, the plan has to be, one, a fence and technological capabilities for surveillance, et cetera, to secure the border. That, as I say, in the short term may require guard individuals as well. And then second of all, we need a temporary worker program. Ask the producers down in Yuma who grow so much of America's fresh produce that we need a program where someone can come and work for 2 years, go back to the country they came from, come and work for 2 years, go back, and then not be able to come back again. Because there is a requirement for farm workers and some highly skilled workers as well. So temporary worker program, I think, a legal temporary worker program for jobs that can be proved that are not being filled by Americans, even with high unemployment. In other words, ask the growers down in Yuma, they'll still tell you they're still not able to get workers to do that kind of work. You see what I mean? I think that has to be a part of it. But first, we have to, and there's other things we can do too, but first we have to get the border secure. We are making some progress on that, but not enough, and the cost, as you know, has also gone way up. But every nation has the obligation to secure its borders.
Senator, thanks for the time. I hope we get you in studio next time.
I look forward to it. Thanks.
All right. Senator John McCain, everybody.